Greetings, fellow Dungeon Delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. We're back this week from a wonderful vacation to build Akali, the rogue assassin. Akali is a former member of the Kinku Order. Under the tutelage of Shen and Kennen, she evolved into a masterful fighter, intent on following in her mother's footsteps to become the new Fist of Shadow. Like Zed, Akali was not content to hide behind the platitudes of the Kinku and embarked on her own to defend Ionia and eliminate her enemies. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to thank one of this month's Doran's Blade patrons, Wheezy Mike. Thank you so much for your support, it means a lot to us. Wheezy Mike chose Akali to build as part of the rewards for our Blade tier patrons. Alright, now let's get into it. First, we'll go over the goals of this build. We need to infuse the build with enough ninjutsu to make the kid who buys katanas at the mall jealous. That means lurking in the shadows and waiting to pop out and assassinate fools. Lurking in the shadows isn't enough though, we need to create the shadows we hide in. Finally, we need to be mobile AF. As if she wasn't obnoxious enough before her rework, now she blinks around the map like a crazy person and just keeping track of her gives me a headache. For race, we're going to go with Variant Human, because Akali is human and you know I'm a sucker for a free feat. Variant Humans get 2 ability score increases. We'll bump our Dexterity and Wisdom here. I bet you can't tell which class we're going to be opening up with. We also get a skill proficiency. Acrobatics will give us the start in the leaping around department. And we all know why we picked this race for the free feat. Mobile gives you a few benefits that'll really bring Akali's mobility to the next level. You gain a flat speed increase of 10 feet, dashing negates difficult terrain, and when you make a melee attack, you cannot provoke opportunity attacks from that creature, regardless of whether you hit it or not, which is pretty dope. For Akali, we'll customize a background to fit her former life as a devoted Kinku ninja. We'll take proficiencies in religion and stealth to cover the basis of her training. For stats, you know it. You understand that it's the only fair way to design these builds. It's the standard array. Roll if that's how you get your jollies, but we need at least a 13 in Dex, Wisdom, and Charisma for multi-classing shenanigans. Alright, we're going to start with our Dexterity of 15. Akali is one of the most mobile champs in the game after her rework, and oh man is that going to be a recurring theme in this build. Wisdom is next at a 14. Akali has a fierce will and determination. We'll take a 13 in Charisma. She's very intimidating to face and she has a powerful personality. Constitution is the next at a 12. She's not the beefiest character, but we don't want to end up too squishy. After that, we'll grab Intelligence. Akali isn't the brightest bulb, but an average intelligence works here. And finally, we'll dump our Strength. We use our Dexterity to make our attacks, so this isn't a big deal at all. Okay, so equipment here is going to be much more important than it often is for other characters. We're going to flavor darts here as 2 different items, Akali's Shuriken and her Kunai. These are 2 different weapons, but we can flavor them using the same item, thankfully. And finally, we also have a sickle, which we'll reflavor as a Kama. Alright, let's get our Kinku training going with a level in Monk. Monks have a D8 hit die, so you won't be that squishy, thankfully. You also gain proficiency in simple weapons and short swords, as well as 2 skills. We'll take Athletics and Insight to get jumpy and enlightened. Unarmored Defense is going to bolster our AC by setting it to 10 plus your Dex and Wisdom modifiers. Our final level 1 feature is Martial Arts, which will help scale our combat damage and give us a few other features. We can use our Dexterity instead of Strength for attack and damage rolls with our weapons and strikes, and we also get the ability to make an unarmed strike as a bonus action whenever you attack. Second level monks gain their Ki. This gives us a pool of points to empower our bonus actions in a variety of ways. Each of the abilities I'm about to list only costs 1 Ki point. Flurry of Blows lets you make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action whenever you take the attack action. Patient Defense lets you use the dodge action as a bonus action. And finally, Step of the Wind lets you disengage or dash as a bonus action, and it doubles your jump distance for the turn. We're going to use this extra movement to get the mobility of our Shuriken Flip and Perfect Execution. So for Shuriken Flip, you hurl your Shuriken at a target and backflip away, then charge that target. It's kind of silly in terms of actual combat tactics, but it'll make for some sick roleplay, so go with it. Our final feature this level is Unarmored Movement. This is going to scale up our mobility as we take more monk levels. Right now you only gain 10 additional movement speed, but that'll scale up in the next few levels. At level 3, monks choose their monastic tradition. The Kinku are ninjas, so we'll take the edgy Way of Shadow. This gives us Shadow Arts, which lets us cast the following spells using 2 key points. Darkness, Dark Vision, Pass Without a Trace, and Silence. And you also gain the Minor Illusion cantrip, which you can cast for free. We're going to get a more powerful darkness in a bit, but you can use this temporarily as your Twilight Shroud. You also get Deflect Missiles. This lets you burn your reaction to try and catch or deflect any ranged weapon attacks. You reduce the damage by 1d10 plus your dex mod plus your monk level. If you reduce it to 0, you can catch the missile and yeet it back by spending 1 key point. 4th level monks gain the first ability score improvement of the build. We'll bump our dex 2 points here to get better strikes and increase our unarmored defense. We also get the ability to magically slow fall by spending our reaction to reduce any fall damage by 5 times your monk level. So right now you can fall over 30 feet with no damage. Possibly more if your DM rolls poorly. Level 5 monks open up their striking capabilities. Extra attack lets us attack twice when we use the attack action. Now we can do the extra damage at the end of the Shuriken flip. We also get the iconic Stunning Strike feature. This lets you spend a key point after you land a melee attack. If the creature fails a con save, it's stunned until the end of your next turn. 6th level monks get quite a few features. Key Empowered Strikes makes your unarmed attacks magical in terms of avoiding resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks. Importantly, this does not apply to your monk weapons, so if you haven't gotten any magical equipment, you may want to start using fisticuffs here until you catch up. Unarmored Movement bumps up to 15 bonus speed at this level as well. Finally, we get the Shadow Step feature. This lets you zip around in your Twilight Shroud. You can spend your bonus action to teleport up to 60 feet as long as the starting and end point are in darkness or dim light. When you have this, make sure you keep track of any light sources, as the shadows they create can be instantly used as teleportation spots using this feature. Alright, now it's time to honor Akali's mother and become the new Fist of Shadow. We're going to take a few levels in the Sorcerer to accomplish this. And they are super front-loaded, so this is going to be a long one, and I apologize in advance. Sorcerers have a d6 hit die, but unfortunately they gain no new proficiencies when they multi-class. We do choose a Sorceress Origin. Thanks to our mother, we can choose Shadow Magic. This gives us a few features at level 1. Eyes of the Dark gives us dark vision up to 120 feet. Strength of the Grave gives us a potential GA effect by letting you make a charisma save when you get reduced to 0 HP. If you make the save, you fall to 1 HP instead. This can't be used when the damage is radiant or the result of a critical hit. This feature also recharges on a long rest. We also get a few spells at this level. As always, we're only going to focus on the Akali specific ones. Booming Blade is going to be the bonus damage provided by our Assassin's Mark. You make a melee attack and the target takes an extra d8 of thunder damage. And the target is wrapped up in booming energy. If they move willingly, they take an additional 2d8 thunder damage. This adds a lot of oomph to our combo, but we lose the extra attack and we can't use Flurry of Blows or the unarmed strike from martial arts, so keep that in mind. We also get Sword Burst, which is a cool way to use 5-point strike. You can flavor it as kunai sweeping around you instead of swords, and you can also restrict it to just enemies in front of you. Each creature within range makes a dex save or takes 2d6 damage. The final spell we're picking up here is Fog Cloud, which just uttering gives me PTSD flashbacks from one of my friends who wreaked so much havoc in our games with this spell. He'd get this mad glint in his eye and I knew we were going into Fog Cloud Town. Population, my broken spirit. For those of you unfamiliar, this spell creates a 20-foot sphere of fog that makes an area heavily obscured. This is more accurate to your Twilight Shroud, but the version we're going to get in a few levels is so much better because you'll be able to see and fight in it. 2nd level sorcerers gain their sorcery points via Font of Magic. We're going to need these next level. The important thing to know about these sorcery points is that they can be converted into spell slots and vice versa using their conversion table, and they're used to empower our spells. For this build, one spell in particular. Darkness. Speaking of darkness, level 3 Shadow Sorcerers upgrade their Eyes of the Dark ability. You learn the Darkness spell for free, and you can cast it with a spell slot or 2 sorcery points. If you cast it with sorcery points, you can also see in the darkness. This is huge. So, including spell slot conversions, we'll have a potential of 21 sorcery points. This means we can cast magical darkness we can see through 10 times before a long rest. Your DM is going to hate you, and hastily add some True Sight and Tremor Sense onto their creatures. This is the best version of Twilight Shroud we're going to get. You also get Meta Magic, which lets you further weaponize your sorcery points. We can pick 2 options to enhance our spells. Quicken Spell lets you spend 2 sorcery points to reduce a spell costing 1 action to a bonus action instead. This will let us get off 2 Booming Blades in 1 turn. However, the booming energy won't linger on a same target twice, so keep that in mind. Empowered Spell will let you spend a sorcery point to reroll a number of damage die up to your charisma mod. So if you're rolling Booming Blade damage and you get a few stinkers, just use this to get another chance. 4th level sorcerers get an ability score improvement. We're going to max out our dexterity here with a 2-point bump. Again, this helps out our strikes as well as our AC. Alright, back to our Kinku training. Level 7 monks gain Evasion. This lets you take half damage on a failed dex save or none if you succeed. They also gain Stillness of Mind. This lets you spend your action to end any charm or fear effect on you. You have a fairly high wisdom and charisma, so you're not likely to be controlled that way, but if you are, this is a nice way to break it. 8th level monks gain another ability score improvement. We'll pick up 2 points in our wisdom to bump our AC and stunning strike DC. Don't forget, you can also take 2 points in charisma if you want to bump up your shadow sorcerer abilities. Level 9 monks gain another unarmored movement improvement. Now you can run along vertical surfaces or run across water without falling. More of that disgusting Akali mobility, I see. 10th level monks get 2 features. Purity of Body makes you immune to disease and poison. And your unarmored movement speed is also increased to 20 feet, giving us a final movement speed of 60 feet per turn. Holy crap! We can also dash using Step in the Wind and use the dash action to give us 180 total movement per turn. Oh. I'm gonna say we covered the mobility aspect of the build. Our final level in Shadow Monk gives us the Cloak of Shadows ability. This synergizes so well with our Shadow Sorcerer levels. When you're in dim light or darkness, you can use your action to become invisible. With the prevalence of dark vision in this game, this is a huge advantage, because normally when you slink into the shadows, anything with dark vision can generally spot you. However, with this you actually become invisible. Therefore, when they look over there, they're going to get a false sense of security because they're not going to see you, which will allow you to generally maneuver yourself into a position where you could, I don't know, flank or even assassinate them. I wonder how we're going to do that. Probably by taking a few levels in Rogue. This will allow us to travel down Akali's new darker path away from the Kinku. Rogues have a D8 hit die, so we're maintaining our health pool. We also do get a skill proficiency. We'll take Sleight of Hand, since we have all the other good ones from other features. Expertise lets us pick 2 rogue skill proficiencies and double them. As a ninja, expertise in acrobatics and stealth make the most sense. Sneak attack is a rogue feature we can stack on our booming blade to even further empower our assassin's mark damage. Anytime you hit a creature with one of your allies within 5 feet of it, or that you have advantage on, you can add extra damage based on your rogue level. Remember, being an unseen attacker gives advantage on all attacks, so you should get sneak attack going easily as long as you're manipulating your darkness correctly. And the final level 1 rogue feature is Thieves' Cant, which is a coded language only other rogues know of that you can use to make coded messages, and speak in front of your other party members without them having any idea what's going on. 2nd level rogues gain Cunning Action. This lets us save our key points and still use dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action. We don't get the double jump distance that Step of the Wind provides, but it allows us to use the key points for other things. Level 3 rogues choose their roguish archetype. Akali chose to be an assassin once she left the Kinku, so obviously that's what we'll take here. This gives us bonus proficiencies with the Disguise and Poisoner's kit, and we also get the Assassinate feature. You have advantage on any creature who hasn't acted yet in combat, and if you do manage to hit a creature that's surprised, it's an automatic critical hit. Using Cloak of Shadows in conjunction with this ability can let you deal a significant amount of damage, and is how we're going to utilize our Perfect Execution. 4th level rogues gain the final ability score improvement for the build. As always, we're going to round off our odd modifiers with a point in Wisdom and Charisma. Level 5 rogues gain Uncanny Dodge, which lets us burn our reaction to reduce a damage's attack by half. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. Hello, Darkness, my old friend. We've come to talk with you again. Akali is going to easily follow in her mother's footsteps as the Fist of Shadow, and you are going to become the bane of your GM's existence. This build has a ton of mobility. You can zip all around the battlefield just like she does on the Rift. And you also have a decently high AC at 19 with Unarmored Defense. Now the bad. Our weapon damage is a little weak until our martial arts die scale it up to a D8. Also, our health pool is dangerously low. Stay in your darkness or you're going to have a bad time. The only other downside is that we couldn't actually get to fling 5 kunai out. But we did cover it in other ways, so what can you do? So what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books we use in this build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, including access to our Discord community and a guaranteed champion build. We plan on turning out 1 League champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.